Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Goodrum Show with me, Chris Goodrum. As you can see this evening, we're back in the shop once again, and as you can see, I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Glynn Quelch,
hello,
otherwise known as MrTobacco. So that can only mean one thing, can't it?
it's another cigar and rum tasting. You know, he said whiskey, but rum.
It's a whiskey and spirit tasting, shall we say? Yes, and so this evening we're going to have a look at pairing four very different styles of rum with a cigar. So firstly, I will hand you over to Glynn, and he will introduce the cigar that we'll be smoking this evening.
So witty when you first speak to her, hanging on every word.
Right, so a slight bit of a change. We was going to do a Havana cigar, but we're going to go with a New World cigar, which is the preferred term rather than non-Cuban. They're just as good quality and may not have the magical name, but there's some amazing cigars out there from Nicaragua, the Dominican, Mexico, Honduras, even some Filipino cigars I've been trying just lately are nice. So the cigar I'd like to introduce tonight is the Regius Corona. Now this is a London-based company, run by a chap called Akil, who's about the same age as me. He's a great guy. We've been working very closely together since basically Regius started. I think he was one of the first retailers outside of London to take on their cigars. Originally their portfolio consisted of 4 different vitolas, 4 different sizes, and all are completely different blends. The most popular one for us is the Robusto, which is quite rich and earthy. It's a lot like a party gas, lots of leathery, earthy flavours. But the one we're going to be doing today is, let's say, the Corona. Now this is a slightly lighter cigar. I'd class it as a medium. There's a little bit of sweetness in there, but on the whole it's got a very nice light tobacco taste, so we should be able to taste the differences in the rum quite well. But these are phenomenal, pure Nicaraguan. Even the wrapper, which this one doesn't quite look so much like a Cameroon. It's reasonably smooth, but some of them have got the quite textured wrapper, a lot like a Cameroon. But this is pure Nicaraguan, looking inside, only a small amount of Ligero down the centre of it. But to look at the construction, it's made Cuban style, so it's got a triple cap. It's very, very, very well made. There's only very small veins, no big teeth in the leaf. It's cut reasonably even. The filling, whoa!
And it's alive.
And it's on the floor. The filler is very evenly packed. There's no loose parts in there. And I say I'm yet to have a bad Regius in the way they burn. And since they've come out, I've smoked quite a few. I still have some of the first release as well. So that's pretty much it. So we're going to try the Regius. There is a review of this over on my blog, MrTobacco.co.uk. But yeah, I'll hand you back to Chris and we'll go through the rum.
Nothing more than.
Right, okay, well let's hope you've not put the kiss of death on it smoking badly then this evening.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so what we have here is we have a range that's called the Mezan range. These are bottled specifically for a company called Eau de Vie in London, so I'd like to say a big thank you for them supplying us with the samples that we're going to taste tonight. And we're going to try, I said, as you can see, 4 different coloured rums. We're going to start off with the Jamaican, which comes from the Hampden distillery, and it's quite light, nestery. It's 10 years old, so that should be quite a nice starting rum. Second rum we will taste is from Trinidad, which is from the Caroni distillery. This is about 19 years old and should have a lot more in the way of sort of dried tropical fruits and that kind of characteristic. Then we'll move on to the Guyanan, which is from the Enmore distillery. Again, it's 19 years old. What I like about Guyanan rums is they tend to be a lot more oilier and pungent. So again, that will be quite interesting to see how it pairs with a relatively lightish cigar. And finally, we will finish with the Panama, which is from the Don Jose distillery. Again, 20 years old. From memory, once I tasted that the first time, has a slight sort of agricole-like character, so a little bit of vegetal. Again, that will probably be quite interesting sort of towards the end of the cigar if it's getting sort of more spicier and denser in character. So, right, back to Glynn for the start of the cigar then.
We shall start. So we will just light up. We'll be back in a moment and we'll give you our initial impressions.
She's so pretty, so witty.
Right, so I've cut the cigar, no problems in the cut. What I was saying about very, very evenly packed filler, that applies in the cap.
Oh yes, the cold draw.
Pretty light draw's got not a great deal, a little bit of wood. And that's it really. I'm getting a little bit of slight bit of sweetness, but on the whole just a straight tobacco, slightly woody sort of tobacco taste.
Yeah, not a great deal.
But no. Right, anyway, we shall light up and be back in a moment.
Whoa, it worked this time. Right, we're back. Hopefully you can see us through the haze of cigar smoke. So, first impressions then.
The draw is very, very, very easy. As you can see, not a lot of effort. Some slightly sweetened kind of cedary, woody sort of flavours, sort of hints of coffee there.
I'm getting a little bit more herbalness actually. Certainly when I first lit this up I got quite a sort of herbal character coming through. Sort of young leaf maybe. It's quite dry, isn't it? Like I say, bit sort of cedary.
Yeah, a little bit of sweetness.
I get the impression that as that goes on, that should sort of develop slightly more leathery and slightly darker wood, shouldn't it?
But it's just the draw on these is brilliant. No effort. So construction-wise on these cigars, they're second to none. There's a little bit of dry spice on the finish as well. A little bit spicy, a little bit peppery, but not a great deal. But no, so like I say, a nice light, easy to smoke cigar.
Yeah.
She's a glamorous parasite, so flawless we all love her.
Right, okay, let's see what the nose gives us on this then, shall we? Yeah. Yep, it's certainly got some youthfulness to it. Slightly high toned, slightly estery, quite herbal. Little bit of a prickle. It's quite refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a nice sort of leafy, slight leafy note, a little bit of camphor maybe. Yeah, that's nice. Right. Let's try it with the palate then. Light, easy going, a little bit of spice certainly on the mid palate. Again, some leafy notes. Not hugely sweet, is it?
No.
It's got a sort of just a nice, delicate level of sweetness. Very light, very, like I said, very, very easy going. That I wonder whether the cigar will overpower the
Possibly.
because it is very, very delicate, isn't it? Right.
So. You know, you pretty much get after drinking a draw is a little bit of wood. It's lost any little delicate bits of flavour it's got. Makes the cigar a little bit flat.
Yeah. Whereas with the spirit, I just can't taste anything now. There's no flavour there whatsoever. It's kind of light. Again, a little bit sort of herbaceous, but there's no flavour at all.
There's no finish to it. All I can taste after I've exhaled is I can still taste the rum, which isn't a bad thing. It's just gorgeous.
But it certainly doesn't have I don't think the sort of the strength of flavour to balance up. I think it's basically all you're gonna taste.
In fact, even after I go back and try the rum, it kind of, you lose all the edges from the rum. It just makes it all quite flat, all of it. The drink, the cigar.
Yeah, it's not really working, is it?
No. It makes both very flat, bland, middle of the road, but a lot nicer on their own than mixed. Oh, it seems a shame to waste it.
Spoken like a true alcoholic.
Feel like you're all alone, like she's the only one you trust.
Yeah, I can't taste anything in this now.
Right, okay. On to the Trinidad. This should, like I said, have a little bit more depth, a bit more character. I think it was 12 years old. Check my notes. No, 19. Sorry. So let's see what the nose gives us then, shall we? Richer, sweeter.
A bit more floral, maybe.
Yeah, it's certainly got a nice floral character to it. Lightly dried fruit, a little bit of licorice, bit of tobacco smoke.
Or is that just the air? I don't know.
It's got a little bit of an agricole sort of herbal spirit note, but gives it a nice kind of lift. It's a sort of medium-ish sort of bodied, not too full, not too sweet. Right, about time then. Elegant, relatively light, quite creamy in actual fact. Licorice, light dried fruits, a bit of sultana, a little bit of pepper. Slightly tropical, just very slightly tropical. Really nice length, bit of spice on the finish.
That's good.
I will point out that all of these rums are bottled at 40%, so there's no horrible alcoholic surprises like last time.
That makes it quite interesting with this cigar. It's got a very almost gentle caramelness to it, and a little, almost wants to be coffee, but just starts off as coffee but never goes anywhere. Doesn't really do much to the finish. There isn't really much of a finish to it. There's a nice roasted, earthy kind of tobacco tasting as well.
It does make a very toffee, doesn't it? Really brings out that sort of caramel toffee note. Again, it slightly deadens it. It slightly flattens it for me.
But it takes away the alcohol burn, I've noticed, of the cigar.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I know you don't pick it up as much, but because I don't drink, well, because I never used to drink that much spirits, I find a lot of spirits burn quite a bit, but this combination takes away that little edge from it.
Yeah, it's taken off the sort of the more agricole characteristic that, or the slight agricole characteristic it had on the nose, that sort of slight herbalness, but I'm not sure about the combination. I'm going to give it one more try.
Gives it kind of a creamy, really creamy texture to the cigar. And there is, I know people have mocked me with this before, it's got an almost kind of cereally kind of character to it as well.
Yeah, it's a bit more nuttier.
You know, it could be the cigar progressing because we're pretty much finishing the first third, but
yeah, I think it's certainly, like I said, sort of caramelly, creamier, nuttier.
I think it works okay. It doesn't make say you lose the edges of them all, but so far out of the two, my favourite combination of the two so far.
Yeah.
Alright, let's finish.
Until you're asleep, she's your life for her. She's nothing.
Actually, I can't believe I need to do it on camera for the next one. I failed to follow English etiquette.
I was just going to say that, we're both being American, aren't
Yeah, I know. It's gonna have to be the next bit.
Right, okay, we're going to go on to the Guyanan now, slightly more oilier and hopefully a little bit more pungent. As Glynn pointed out while we were off camera, we're both being American this evening and have left our
Bands on.
bands on, indeed.
Disgusting habit. Disgusting habit. I'm smoking an unknown cigar. Could be anything.
Right, okay, could be indeed. Let's do the nose on this then, shall we? Yep, a lot more pungent, a lot, has that sort of lovely oily Guyanan character. Oily dried fruit, again slightly herbaceous, but not in a sort of an agricole way, but still really nice. Again, quite light, as you can see, American oak aged, quite elegant. Really nice. Right, palate then.
Ooh.
Elegant, lightly oiled.
Very smooth.
Very, very smooth, isn't it? A little bit of bitterness, but you've got a bit of licorice. Some bitter spices as well. Yeah, that's quite nice.
That's
So,
very nice.
we'll see how that one works.
I must admit, this has pretty much killed the cigar. I've got a bit of cream on the draw, but
Yeah, this is all about the rum, isn't it? That sort of oily pungency. A little bit of an uneven draw there, it has to be said on that. Yeah, it's
there's not a lot to it.
not a lot. No, certainly.
No finish to it. You get a bit of cream on the draw, and then
all you're getting is just oily, pungent Guyanan rum. Doesn't work particularly well as a combination, but this is a lovely rum, it has to be said.
oh yeah.
Not getting a lot of progression in the cigar, it has to be said. It's getting it's getting a little bit more densely woody, but it's pretty much stayed a fair constant, hasn't it?
Yeah. A little bit of herbs maybe on that draw, and say cedary, woody flavours. But these come across very sweet woody flavours if you smoke them just with water, which I tend to do a lot. But no, it's not the best combination, but that is a bloody good rum.
And finally we're on to the Panama, which should be a bit more robust. Let's see what the nose gives us on this one, shall we? A lot more oak initially.
A little bit of sweetness maybe.
Yeah, there's some sweet fruit, sweet dried fruit, very crystallised, slightly sugary.
Slightly vanilla-y maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's the oak. There's quite a degree of oak on this one, it has to be said. But again, lovely depth. It almost reminds me a little bit of a grain whiskey, with that sort of admittedly oak character and slight kind of grainy spiciness. Certainly got a pungency and a bite to the nose. Right, palate then. Oh, that is mellow, isn't it? That glides. Lightly licorice, lightly spicy, loads of dried fruit.
The vanilla-y taste doesn't really come through as it does in the nose, but
no, it's certainly it's the emphasis is more on the spirit and the rancio on the palate than the oak. But oh, that's lovely, lightly tropical, lovely maturity. It's got some real age to it, although it's only about sort of 20 years old. Again, really elegant, really quite delicate. Lovely spicy aftertaste. Let's see how this one works with the cigar. I think this should go quite nicely, I think.
Kills off a lot of the draw again. Still a bit of cream, slightly herbs, sweet cedary taste, but the finish finish is sweet and creamy.
That really has sweetened it, hasn't it? A little bit more earthy now, a little bit more tobacco leaf.
Yeah, you're getting a very, very slightly, not quite bitter coffee taste, but a subtle hint of maybe a coffee or a bit of cinnamon or a bit of a baking spice or something on the finish.
That I think is working really nicely.
That does work well.
Yeah, really harmonious. You're getting both the characteristic of the cigar with that sort of light woodiness. It's just kind of emphasising the sort of the kind of woody spice that's on the rum. Yeah, that is really harmonious. That works.
That does work well. That one there. But no, that is a cracking combination. Perfect.
Right. Okay. Time to sum these combinations up then. Jamaican. I mean, the Jamaican is a lovely rum. It's very elegant, very light, but I think sort of the combination of the two, they just kind of cancelled each other out. All became very, very flat.
Yeah.
The Trinidad, yeah, I mean, it's sort of that worked quite pleasantly. You know, it's relatively rich, but again, it's sort of I don't think it was the best combination. The Guyanan, I mean, again,
not a great deal.
Oh, lovely rum. I mean, you know, lovely oily character to the rum, but it kind of sort of obliterated really the cigar. It has to be said. So from this perspective, certainly the Panama
definitely
just worked so well together.
But I think a lot of it comes down to the cigar. The cigar is quite a mild. You'd class it as a medium. I'd put it on a par with kind of a Romeo and Juliet number 2. So it's not a great deal of things going off, but it's a good cigar early on in the day, or if you're new to cigars. There's no spice to it. There's no pepper. There isn't a lot of nicotine. It doesn't hit you with a lot of strength.
No, and I think the thing is that it's quite a consistent smoke, isn't it? It hasn't really sort of changed a huge amount throughout the whole of this tasting. It's stayed a fairly sort of constant smoke, hasn't it?
So yeah, there's no real dynamics to it or anything like that. But like I've always said with these cigars, give them 4 or 5 years, because it's a Nicaraguan puro, the tobacco will all ferment and mature at the same time. So like Havana Cuban cigars, things like the Regius cigars will age perfectly. I have had a Robusto that's got 4 years on it, and that was a million miles better than the standard Robusto. It's a cracking smoke on its own, but just with 4 years, the difference it made is unbelievable. I mean, these are probably a year old, if that. But
I mean, certainly you get a little bit of fish food when you smell it.
That's it. Yeah. Still a smidge of ammonia on them, but as far as Nicaraguan cigars go, these are made to be as close to Cubans as they can replicate, and they're all designed for the English palate. So, but no, it's a bit of a fun combination. I've become a bit of a rum addict ever since I went to Cuba, so let's make a Nicaraguan cigar and rum. Why not?
Why not?
Why
Absolutely.
not? Why not?
So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the show. Another interesting tasting. I think you'll agree. So basically, all that's left to say is good evening and good dramming and good smoking.
Take care. In a bit. Bye.
She's so pretty, so witty. She is a glamorous parasite, so perfect, we all love her. She is a glamorous parasite. She's so lovely, so lonely, but she is a glamorous parasite, so helpless you can't help.
That's nice, isn't it?
They are nice cigars, aren't they? I like what Regius made. Especially the fact that he's given me 2 boxes of these. His exact words were, put them in your humidor for your friends. It's like, well, the shop can have a box and I still need to take a box for me.
No, it's very easy smoke, isn't it?
Oh yeah, say they made it to be like a Romeo 2.
smoky it gets in here.
Mm.
No wonder Kim moans about their asthma when I smoke just one. My front room's probably smaller than this downstairs area.